The show. I'm excited to have Steve Sheinberg. He is the chairman of the Fairfield Democratic Town Committee, the Fairfield DTC. I've known Steve, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something. We were outside protesting, I think, Trump's first visit at Sacred Heart, if you recall, right? Do you remember that? 2015, 2016. I don't know what it was. 2016. So Steve, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you for having me, and all the best to you on your show. Very informative, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, so much of this show really is trying to bring our democratic kind of viewpoint, thought process to the forefront because so much is happening on the federal level in cuts, et cetera. And just before we got started, you said something really important, which is, tell me again what you said. This administration is doing what to us as a people?
Yeah, I think he has ripped out America's heart and soul and replaced it with something that is authoritarian. He is not following the rule of law, due process, and what it really means to be an American. And also, the Constitution was created to prevent someone like this from accumulating power in the executive branch. And he is yesterday called the judiciary scum.
Unbelievable. Yep. And the judiciary are literally afraid for their own lives. I don't know if anybody's really read up on this. They are afraid that the very people who should be protecting them, the U.S. Marshals, will not be. They're actually asking now for a different security group or force or et cetera to keep them safe because they are getting attacked by our president. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I am very sad in what's happened to this country, and it is right out of the playbook of authoritarians, Project 25. I feel that the Republican Party has been hijacked by this man, and he has neutered Congress since they have both houses of Congress, and they are enabling this president to accumulate more power, to go after institutions and to go after individual people. So I'm very saddened for young people, for all people of America, and we must resist, like Harvard is doing, like some law firms are doing, to make sure that he does not accumulate power and uses his power to exact retribution, which he seems to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, certainly with Harvard, he is looking to hamstring them at every turn. He, on Friday, I believe it was, said they cannot enroll international students, which happens to be one of their biggest income sources. Plus, when we're educating people around the world, we are giving the rest of the world a chance to see what democracy or living in a free society where you have free speech. So it's literally going against everything that's the point of who we are as the original is ripping out morality for the heart and soul of who we are as a people, what our Constitution is written for, which is 3 branches of government, which protect us from having a king or authoritarian figure. And here we are.
Yes, and in addition, on foreign affairs and national security, he has an incompetent person running the Pentagon. He has thrown our allies under the bus in Europe. And he has enabled Putin by giving away negotiating chips before, and Putin just keeps killing Ukrainians, and he can't even admit that it was Russia that was the aggressor.
Oh, it's again, morally unconscionable / now all he's doing is tweeting at Putin, kind of slapping him on the hand saying, hey, you're killing too many of the Ukrainian people. There's nothing in there that is there are no teeth. There's no retaliation. And now I read this morning, the Germans are now saying, okay, Ukraine, go ahead, start using those missiles. So they're escalating the war. And we have stepped back as a nation that was very much involved in trying to broker a peace deal. I think Anthony Blinken was amazing, right? Now we have frickin' frack or whatever as our foreign policy team. I shouldn't put, I don't know, who's it, Scott Bessent? No. Who's our front? Who is taking over? Is it Marco Rubio? Yeah.
Rubio, Secretary of State and
Secretary of
National
State.
Security Advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just acting, there is an isolationist wing led by J.D. Vance, but he's also a transactional man. And he just wants, like what he's doing with tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an embarrassment. And this was an 80-year alliance in NATO, preserving peace that Putin blew up by being the aggressor, biggest land war since World War II. And he just lost.
We've lost it. It's really horrendous. And I don't know how we are going to get that back. All of that goodwill, all of the trust that we built up over those years. So the word transactional brings up another conversation, which is the sheer level of corruption that the Trump administration and Trump family is involved in. This is like mob level shakedown, that they are enriching themselves with all sorts of cryptocurrencies. There's coins that are U.S. that are locked in with the dollar. He sold off, I don't know how many seats at a dinner table. If you bought one of those seats, you paid up a certain amount. It's if a Democrat did any of these things, can you imagine the sheer outcry? Joe Rogan would be screaming his head off. How do you feel about that?
And that's what's so outrageous, that everyone in Congress and Republicans are just going along and enabling him to take power. Also, with the big grift, before he went to the Middle East and the Gulf, he had his sons there negotiating private deals. So the emoluments clause of the Constitution is, of course, thrown out.
It's incredible. And look, we're going to end up with this Qatari jet, this jet that was unsellable. And they couldn't get rid of it. So now they're going to, quote unquote, give it to him. But what does that cost really? And then it's going to take 10 years and $1 billion to retrofit it, because you can't even take a pen into the White House because it might have a listening something in it. Never mind, think about how big a 747 has and how many listening capacities it has.
And he wants to use it for personal use at his library when he's finished.
I don't know. I can't even put words to it. And again, imagine if President Obama had done any of these. The outcry over a tan suit is greater cause for outrage for this group of people than this person, this administration violently breaking our laws.
Right. And also he's doing in the budget, and hopefully the Senate will reject this, he is the reverse Robin Hood. He's taking from the poor, like what you said about fuel assistance, Medicare, Medicaid, and he's giving to the rich. And that is also very sad, that people that need support from the government are not going to get it. And going back 4 years to the Biden administration, the child tax credit and other programs reduced child poverty almost in half.
That was incredible. And it's very clear how great those tax cuts are. And then add on childcare, and I don't know how people are going to make it, I don't understand. And now we don't have this, energy support. Our childcare is terrible. We've getting rid of Head Start, Medicare, Medicaid. People won't be able to pay for their health care, their kids. We won't be able to get to work, their housing. It goes on and on.
He's flooded the zone.
What's the outcome? I don't understand what's going to happen. Something's going to break.
Yeah, well, the people, there have been protests all over the country, and the protests will grow bigger and stronger. And that's my fear, that he will invoke martial law, and it could be big trouble, because people that are being pushed down by cuts in programs that help not only the poor, but middle class, they're going to rise up. So let's hope that someone has a check and balance. To me, the check right now are the courts, especially the Supreme Court. The only two hopes on the Supreme Court are Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. Mm-hmm. And then the number one goal is the Democrats must take at least the U.S. House in next year's midterm.
Yep, that's going to be key to any any ability to change or bring us back within the realm of reason here. Please, Lord, we're all going to have to get behind our Democratic candidates. So speaking of which, now, have you guys gotten your slate ready for your municipals up there in Fairfield? I was part of the Fairfield DTC years ago. So, yeah, how are things going up there?
Things are going very well. We're almost done recruiting for a full slate. So July is the endorsement meeting for town committees on both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican. And we will endorse candidates and get everything ready for a fall campaign to deliver candidates that will represent really all the people of Fairfield, not just Democrats.
Good.
And that believe in good government, funding education, essential services, but also being fiscally responsible.
I love that. Is Bill Gerber going to run again?
He will run again, but it's the midterm. It's a 4-year term.
Oh, I didn't realize.
So Bill Gerber,
okay.
So Bill Gerber, first selectman. He's in the middle of his second year.
Got it.
And he will be up for re-election and will run in 2027.
Yeah. So right here in Greenwich, we only have a 2-year term. So our first selectman, Fred Camillo, has yet to commit to running again, but he would be running for a 3rd term, I believe. Is that right? Or 4th? Bob's doing our tech here. I'm like, I can't remember. Is it 3rd or 4th term? But yeah, that's so much nicer for Bill Gerber to have a 4-year term. It's easier to get things done. It's smoother. You don't spend all that time on the campaign trail. Yeah. So, so in Fairfield, what are the biggest issues? Because we have our towns are very similar in size and population. What are the things your guys are coping with?
Well, we've coped with 8-30G has been for many years a big issue with overdevelopment. So we are now coming up to a moratorium on 8-30G.
Oh, wow. Good.
So a lot of which would be 4 years with the potential to get 9 years. But developers came in with many applications right before the deadline. So that's one big issue. And like every town in the country, affordability is a big issue. So prices for houses, rent or buying have gone up. Also, we have a plan for safe streets, complete streets. So the first selectman sent out a survey that people should fill out to try to make the streets safer for not just cars and pedestrians, but bikes, EVs, scooters. So
Great.
things have gone well. The budget was passed. Funding education, an increase in education of 5.8%, essentially funding other town services and increasing taxes less than the rate of inflation, around 2%, a little less than 2%.
Wow, that's great. So I don't know if you know this, but here in Greenwich, we did the opposite. We decided to defund education. The Board of Estimate and Taxation, without any really any warning or discussion, cut $4.5 million out of what was the proposed budget by Tony Jones, our superintendent, which included for our people here just these are contractual costs that you can't get around, whether it's teacher salaries, healthcare. So this was just kind of you're increasing 8.5%. We're like, we not only did not stay even, but we're cutting.
Yeah, it comes down to your budget is what you believe in, and we believe in the future, and that is children and schools. We also have projects going on like water and sewer lines and also HVAC in schools, so every school could have air conditioning for summer and fall and parts of spring. So we value education. There's 10,000 students in the schools, 2 high schools. And we want to make sure we have enough teachers, we have enough administrators, paraprofessionals, and all the rest so that kids have all the support that they need from staff, administration, teachers in the school.
I love that. Okay, anybody listening in right now, I am online here with Steve Sheinberg. He is chairman of the Fairfield DTC, Democratic Town Committee. In Fairfield, their priority is education and funding children's learning. HVA systems, everything across the board, from the plant where the kids go to school, but also supporting teachers, paraprofessionals, special education. It goes on. And they are not cutting. Anybody listening to this in Greenwich, you hearing what the priorities are in Fairfield? We need to think about these things. Anyway, that was my rant, my vent for the day. So, Steve, one of the things somebody pointed out to me is you have a very robust internship program there at the DTC. You've gotten young people really involved. Talk to me about how you draw these young people in, how you get them to work. What are they doing? Do they get credit? How do you handle all that?
Yeah. Good question. So first, interns are near and dear to my heart because that is one of the biggest ways I got my start in politics. In high school, it was about moratoriums against the Vietnam War. But when I was in college, I was a political science major, took campaign politics. We were required to have an internship, and that's what I did. And loved politics, loved elections, because that's where you can make the biggest impact. Because instead of lobbying your official, if you elect people that represent your principles and values, then they will vote the way you think is right. So in Fairfield, we have two universities, Sacred Heart and Fairfield University, as you know. We have two high schools, and so they have clubs. So 10 years ago, when I became chairman, we started to interface with the clubs in the high schools. The universities are a little more conservative because they're Catholic universities, Jesuit for Fairfield U. The way we started was with the president of the clubs. And we went there, we invited the students in these clubs to our office during the campaign. And so we started a really robust internship program. And they bring great energy and passion to the cause. They inspire the members of the town committee to work harder. So the way the program works is we'll start up next month and we do trainings. So we have the software training, targeting voters, creating a universe, field training, communications training with social media, writing.
Great.
And then the campaign itself, we brought in Congressman Jim Himes to meet them, some local officials. Some of the interns have become interns in the first selectman's office on the government side.
Terrific.
So over the summer, before the campaign really kicks off, it's a lot of trainings talking about trying to develop their organizational skills and learning to follow up, learning social skills. And then once the campaign starts, it's all hands on deck to work.
Great.
We send them out in teams to canvass doors and voters, texting, phone calling. We try to make it fun for them and try to tell them and inspire them that this is a way they can have a huge impact on government in the community is by helping us win elections. And we've had some very close elections. Bill Berger won 2 years ago by about 37 votes out of 20,000. So when people in politics say to people every vote counts, they really do mean it.
I personally know that
vote counts.
Right.
And then we have social events with them. We'll bring pizza in. We'll just have little parties for them to try to make the experience fun. Our office for the last several years has been downtown, so they could walk from Ludlow High School.
Oh, great.
They could come down to the office. They could pick up a turf. We never send any intern out alone.
Good.
They go out in teams. We pair rookie interns with experienced interns. And we have some graduating interns at 17 or 18 years old. They're professional campaigners.
That's impressive.
Because they started at age 15. And I really do enjoy working with young people. And it's so impressive how advanced they are. And how fast they pick up the software app on iPhones, the Canvas, and the rest. So I would say besides the candidates and some volunteers, the interns are a key part of our campaign.
That is huge. It's fantastic. I definitely think we could get a little better at that ourselves right here in Greenwich. You guys have, it's amazing. Now, do these kids actually get credit? Do they write papers? Do Do they, you know,
In their senior year, they do get some credit.
oh,
We
cool.
also do give them a stipend at the end of the
Oh, very
campaign.
good.
So we do that. So it depends upon what school, what class they're in.
Hmm.
As some seniors do get credit, and they have to do a community service project, and
Ah,
they use the campaign as their project.
that's
So it's a
amazing.
combination depending upon where they are in school.
Right. So, a couple things that are important here. Again, reminding people I'm on the phone right now with Steve Sheinberg. He is the chairman of the Fairfield DTC. We're talking about his internship program, which is renowned across the state. We know that they've been very successful bringing young people in. One of the biggest things I think for me as a Democrat is I want to see young people engaged, especially young men who are not kind of just getting sucked up into the toxic manosphere, the Joe Rogans, the Jordan Petersons, all that business. Young men who see that we need to take care of everyone. We need to take care of our most vulnerable populations. We need to make sure that everybody has equal opportunity, equal rights, bodily autonomy, those kinds of things. How are you getting to young men? Or do you guys have a message? Are you reaching out? What's going on?
Haven't had a different message because we treat all people the same,
Love it.
men, women. But we notice at the rallies by Indivisible, and we have local rallies here, that young people are not as engaged right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a little bit of burnout. So we
Oh,
try to, and we need, I agree with you, there are more women or young women engaged in the political process. And it takes one guy, one young man to reach out to the others to bring them in. What we try to do is say, hey, come in, social event, and we try to pivot that to inspire them to then have that great impact by getting involved.
yep.
And so generally, we try to, again, treat men and women, young men and women the same, but I agree we need to have unique ways to bring in young men. They're vital to the cause because, as we saw last year in the campaign, young men 18 to 30 overwhelmingly or in majority voted for Trump.
They came
And
out for
so,
Trump.
right. So it's a good question, and we have to give that some thought, what kind of special outreach we have to do with young men.
You know what? Who's really inspiring to me right now is Pope Leo. I love his message, and he really is about inclusivity, about loving everyone, about being kind and empathic. And I really do think that we all could be echoing what Leo is saying right now, and I'm thrilled that we have an American Pope. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And since we have two Catholic universities right there in Fairfield, maybe that's a message that'll resonate. Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, we will try.
Oh my gosh. So before we go, any initiatives that you guys are taking that are particularly important? And again, I'm drawing parallels between Greenwich and Fairfield because we are so similar in many ways. Here in Greenwich, we're a third registered Republic, a third registered Democrat, a third independent. Are you guys similar?
We have more Democrats than Republicans, so I don't have percentages, but I could give you raw numbers. So roughly 14,000 Democrats, 9,500 Republicans,
Oh, okay. That's
and
quite a difference.
17,000
You
unaffiliated
have a
or
big
independents.
affiliated. Yeah.
So our initiative is to reach out to get the base of Democrats to come out and to try to leverage everyone's anger at national Republicans, put local Republicans on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
We have a senator that's a Republican that talks a big game,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Senator Tony Wong.
Mm-hmm.
And while the education department is being decimated in Washington, he's silent, but he goes out to events at schools and just talks.
Right.
So he walks, he just doesn't, it's all air, it's all talk, no action to try
Mm-hmm.
to resist what's going on in Washington. And that's again necessary that state Republicans all over the country, local Republicans, have to show their outrage at what this president is doing.
Yep.
So our
I agree with
initiative,
that.
and we're trying to reach out more to unaffiliated voters because that's mostly the middle moderates of America and locally, and try to mobilize based on issues, the way we have the Democratic elected officials pass the budget. We have majority boards, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Ed, and they were not rubber stamps,
Yeah.
as the Republicans claim. They
No, you
held the
guys fought
administration
hard.
accountable.
You fought hard, right?
Yeah, we did. And we also had challenges. We didn't have a growth in the grand list. We had many contracts that were signed in the prior year or two, police, fire, teachers, paras.
Yep.
And so there were many challenges that we had to overcome.
Yeah, no, it is. So to your point about our elected officials, so we are majority Republican here in our municipal in Greenwich. It is zero, not a peep in outrage on what's happening on the federal government side. Not a peep. I've had Fred Camillo here. I've had Ryan Fazio here. Neither of them was willing to say, yeah, this is bad. Terrible. This should not be happening. They were very quiet about it, kind of acknowledged, this and that. But there's no Republican actually making real noise about saying this stuff is wrong. This is bad for our Constitution, especially if you care about our country. So I will just put that out there. I'm sure anybody listening, because this is a pretty Republican radio station, believe it or not. So this is our balance here. Bob is shaking his head across the way here. But
and I think Republicans should take a lesson from someone that I never liked politically, and that's Liz Cheney, who stood up for America, for the Constitution, and trying to hold the president accountable.
Yes, absolutely. So before we go, actually, I would like, again, this is Steve Sheinberg. He's the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee in Fairfield. I think one of the biggest, we have like a minute. Why is it so important people vote in municipal elections? And that's coming up in November.
That's always a great question. And that is because municipal elections impact their lives sometimes more importantly and more effectively than national elections.
Right.
So what you pay in taxes, the roads, the schools, the services in town, all impacted by who is elected. And every vote does count, as I mentioned before, in a very tight election. You can impact the election. I'll also mention that our Secretary of State, Stephanie Thomas, implemented early voting.
Yep, we have early voting.
Absolutely. And hopefully no excuse absentee voting.
Yep.
But people have to realize that this election...
Steve, I am so sorry. I've got to wrap it up and say thank you. We're about to go to station break. But thank you so much for being with us. You'll have to come back. We'll discuss municipal elections in November.